Welcome back, everyone. Check-in completed. I see smiling faces, so that is important. So now, enough from my side. I invite you to put your hands up for a cheer of our contributors and hosts today. We have Edric in the house and Vlad to share Warmspace with us, and Oliver, of course. Over to you.
Thank you, Miriam. Thank you, everyone. So happy to be here with the Never Done Before community. So today, me and my team, so I've got 3 other people in the room. So there's Vlad, Oliver, and Shane. We're all from Warmspace. They're all my co-founders. And we're here to share a bit about what we've built and what we have learned along the way. I learned from Miriam, this is a group of like high caliber facilitators globally. So we hope to share some insights of what we have learn in building this experience of automating deep connection 101. So what we hope to achieve today is share with you about Warmspace, and we're gonna give you a quick demo of what it looks like, and then share the lessons that we've learned, some insights of how can we create an immersive facilitated experience at scale. And then you will get a taste of Warmspace yourself. So we have a quick taster for about 30 to 40 minutes for you to connect. Oh, I love the heart that Miriam just showed. You get to connect with someone from this room on Warmspace and go through this guided experience yourself. And then at the end, we'll come back to the main Zoom room. And I want to hear from all of you, like what your experience was like, but most importantly, we plan to work with a lot of facilitators in the future. So creating these tools that empower you to create the experiences yourself. So we would love to hear your feedback and ideas that you have on how we could empower you to create more of such experiences. So a little bit about Warmspace and how we got started. So the 4 of us are a group of human connection facilitators, a spiritual coach, mindfulness practitioner. So we've been doing a lot of our own kind of inner work and inner journey, and then we realize how a lot of the problems and suffering we see in the world today, the root of all of it is the disassociation with who we really are on the inside, with who we are projecting on the outside because of the pressure and expectation and the conditioning on the outside world. So, and that was my personal realization when I went to Burning Man 2 years ago. I realized how good it felt to be fully seen as completely myself without any pretending, no questions around like, oh, what did I do before? Like what achievements I have done. It's really about seeing me from my heart and as a human being. So ever since then, I have been exploring all the different tools on how can I bring out more authenticity with the people that I interact with on my day-to-day in Singapore. So I experimented with like a few connection games, a lot of different card games. I joined a men's circle. I hosted a couple of facilitated sessions back then when I was working for Google to interview my colleagues to share about their life journey virtually. I have a fireside chat. So I experimented with a bunch of different things. And through that experience, I learned that the art of facilitation, like facilitation is really powerful in a way to get something out of a story of value out of someone that we usually don't, we're not able to derive or see in another person, because for some people it could be a little bit too awkward to get into that deeper space. It's quite difficult to go to someone in a party and ask them, hey, tell me about your biggest fear or your worst childhood trauma. But if you could pull a card in a party and then tell them and answer this question, that creates that bridge that allows for them to go deeper into that space that they might find it difficult to share otherwise. And also what I learned from my time when I started a men's circle, if you're not familiar with the concept of the circle, it's just a group of people getting together, sitting in a circle and share something that it feels really alive for them. Could be a struggle, a celebration, and everyone has an allocated time to share and no one is allowed to interrupt. And when you put a bunch of men together. Like men are typically very, like we have this like wall that we built, this warrior kind of personality that we don't allow people to see us internally and the emotion that we're hiding from. So I see how all these men really open up with that form of structure, because you're given 3 minutes, and in that 3 minutes you're given the permission to fully go all in. With that structure for men, I found was really helpful, because they're given instruction, like they're given prompts, and there's a time limit of when they end their sharing. So a bunch of these different elements that I have learned, I try to apply on Warmspace. So during COVID, a year ago, I did some experiments of how can I facilitate a one-on-one connection over Zoom for complete strangers, and see by the end of that session, are they able to form this deeper connection with this different elements that I put together. So I've done about I did about 30 of the sessions. And if you've seen like one of those MTV shows where a guy was sent to go on a date with a girl, and then like there's a dating coach hiding in the truck with a secret headphones and microphone, and then the coach will tell them like what to say, what to do. Well, he goes on his date. So that's kind of what I did on the Zoom call. So I get two people to connect, and then I'll hide myself, hide my video, and then while observing their call, I will send them like real prompts, like, oh, this is what you need to say next. Ask them, go deeper in this question. You may ask about this and that. So I found that was really powerful in like guiding the conversation and allowing people to feel safe to go deeper, knowing that they're facilitated and guided. So long story short, after I did these experiments, I found like how powerful it is to get people to connect from a really authentic place. I decided to scale that because I see really the potential and power of Warmspace to create this deeper connection with themselves and others. So what Warmspace is, which Ollie will give a quick walkthrough to you in a little bit. It's a guided conversation platform. It's kind of like Zoom, but with a facilitation, automated facilitation. So we include a snippet of video and text guidance. So in the beginning, you'll hear a guidance on sharing what the principles are, and then everyone will get to take turn to share and to listen. And then there's music playing in the background. So there's different elements I put together to make it as immersive as possible and allow you to feel safe to drop into that space to be completely yourselves in that session. And we've done about almost 1,000 of these sessions. And what we've seen was how it's the type of feedback that we receive that really keeps us going on how people feel like they could be completely themselves with this complete stranger, and realizing they're not alone with what they're struggling with, and realizing how we are much more alike than different. So it's this, again, the essence of coming back to who we really are and knowing that we all share so much more in common as fellow human, that really what keeps us going. So I'm just gonna stop talking there and maybe give Ollie the chance to walk you through what it looks like, so we have a better sense of what the platform looks like before we go on to share more.
Second, let me try and figure out this screen share.
Oliver, you want me to narrate while you click through the demo?
Yes, please. Are you guys seeing the screen that I'm looking at, or a different screen?
Oh,
we see a lot of Ollie at the moment.
Black and white.
Okay, you're seeing, yeah, okay, great.
So this is basically like the two
We
people.
have 3 Ollies.
Yeah. So you see, first you get to this welcome screen, and you're guided into just the basic setups, so that you're well prepared. A quick check.
And just in case it's not obvious, there's like, this is Oliver presenting both users. So the white Oliver and the black screen Oliver.
Right. Yeah. So you'd only have one of these. Right.
So it's a tool to get in touch with yourself, right?
Exactly. Yeah. So there's you can see there's different steps along the bottom, and here we're basically sending people giving people a chance to connect. So this is like, just say hi. And as you see, we'll go deeper and deeper. So but just introducing names being a simple one. So we start, there's audio playing right now. So there's like the virtual facilitator explaining what's about to happen and orienting people to the experience. And people actually do a slightly longer introduction now. So going from hi to name and where you're from. And you can see like there's all this turn taking happening. One person speaks, says done, and the other person gets to speak and says done. So the facilitator is constantly telling each person when it's their turn to speak. This particular flow goes pretty deep, so we ask people to maintain it confidentiality and really make it explicit. Then there's like a 2-minute grounding meditation, which simultaneously introduces the principles for the conversation. So really kind of deepening the space, setting the expectation, this is going to be deep, this is going to be real. And kind of hearing that together already really sets us up for a pretty powerful experience. So this is the first real sharing where they just very briefly speak to what was happening for them during meditation. I think a lot of the people using it haven't meditated before or are relatively new to it. So yeah, a little bit of brief personal sharing. But as you can see, it gets increasingly personal. Like the first sharing was like, things like name and where you're from. The second one was about your immediate experience, like what was just happening for you. And now we get to an even deeper one where, you're selecting a card. And this is like playing on the card games, the sharing card games. And each one represents a different question. So yeah, so this question, tell me about someone you deeply value and why. So all the questions are all meaningful in various ways. So this is really an opportunity for people to share and be real with the other person for a while. And again, they take turns. So they've been kind of guided. One person speaks, the other person listens, and then it's the opportunity to ask questions and things like that. And then the other person goes. So this will be the experience we'll get to check out today. You'll notice that me speaking to it is very different from you actually living it. So very curious how you experience it. And then we go to an even deeper sharing where there's a little bit more guidance. And now this is a little bit more of a free association game where now you're speaking to just what's jumping out at you at the most right now. And so this is an opportunity to take the conversation really anywhere. And by this point, people have had, they've connected with the other person. They've been vulnerable with the other person. So this is an opportunity to go even deeper because there's much less constraints, just a little bit of constraint just to kind of like guide people in so they don't feel like, oh, just speak to whatever feels most relevant for you is a little too open-ended for most people, but it's effectively that. And this is where the conversation often goes very, very deep. So, why did you pick the word hope in this case? What does it mean to you? And this is where people can kind of speak to, this is where it can have a pretty powerful therapeutic effect. It could be, people will often share painful, difficult experiences, traumas, often things that they haven't been able to share with others before, or very, very rarely. And then finally get to this appreciation steps. We're kind of concluding. We don't want to just suddenly cut people off. We used to do that, and I was like, oh, it's a little too abrupt. So we slow it down a little bit. There's an appreciation where people exchange a few brief words, and then an opportunity to say goodbye afterwards. And the facilitator kind of guiding people every step of the way here. Yeah, so this is our basic experience. So the audio guidance, the text prompts, the number of steps, all of that is configurable. So we actually have many different flows that we've created. The one you just saw is just the one. If you go to Warmspace, NDB.io right now and try to schedule a session, that'll be the one that you see. But we do a lot of special events where we'll do all kinds of different flows, kind of event specific. We've done one around kind of the queer community and sharing there, and a few other communities. Also, certain conferences will have kind of specialized flows for those.
Yeah, thank you, Vlad.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna share some music in the background so that you start immersing you into the Warmspace world and get you to experience yourself the power of like a soft, lovely background music tunes and how it affects our mood. And also, I think this is a good time to maybe share what me and Vlad can share more in the technical ideas behind the experience, why we included some of the different elements that we did, and what we have learned from seeing hundreds of these sessions that Warmspace has facilitated. So there's a couple things that we added into the experience. One is, as you saw in the demo, there's a lot of principles that we established up front in the beginning, and then you'll get to hear that later during the experience itself. You will hear the facilitator sharing through audio, like what they need to, the guideline for the conversations. Like a few things are about making sure that you get into this state of presence and allow yourself to be really present. Like even in the beginning of the session, we asked them to enlarge their screen, go on the full screen mode. And also you notice that they won't be able to share, to show their self view. So they won't be able to check their own face throughout the whole session. The reason behind this is I myself noticed when I was having a Zoom call with someone, I tend to be checking how I look or how I appear to someone as I was sharing something. I think it's just a part of our human nature. We care about how we look to the other person. So we want to allow the other person to fully focus on their relationship and the presence of the other person. And then the next thing that we added was the confidentiality piece. So even though they won't be able to, most likely because they connect with a complete stranger, they won't be able to see this person anymore. But that a little affirmation that what you're sharing will be kept confidential adds a little bit of extra safety and extra assurance that it's okay to be vulnerable in the session. And then you'll also notice, I don't know why my music is not playing, but we also added music throughout the whole session. And what I've noticed is, I'm sure you guys have experienced it yourself, but like music just plays a big role in influencing our mood. You could be having a really intimate conversation in a random dive bar, and that will completely change the vibe and the tone of the conversation. And because we're all about getting people to drop into their heart space, and we find that music helps for people to slow down and to get into that mood of wanting to open up. So you'll get to experience a little bit of the music that we kind of curated that allows you to feel into that mood, to feel safe and to feel warm, to want to share more about something that might feel a little uncomfortable. The next thing that we did was including a mindfulness practice. So because we found that in order to, I think there's a different states that we're in when we're having a conversation with someone. And in order to have this deeper level of conversation, you need to switch into a certain state of mind. I've been in a couple of situations where I brought my conversation card games, and then because the mood was not really in the chatty heart-to-heart type kind of mood, it was more in like a party playful mood. Even though we're using the same tool, the outcome was completely different because they're not in the right state of mind. So the answers sound like more playful, they were joking around. So we really want to allow people to slowly transition into that state of mind where they are able to, they feel ready and they feel like, okay, this is the time for me to be vulnerable, to feel safe, to share and go deeper. So that's why in the beginning we do a little bit of a grounding practice where they get to tune into their body and their mind and their thoughts and their emotion. And then even before they start having a conversation, when they open their eyes, we ask them to just stare into each other's eyes. It's quite challenging because they'll be staring into the screen, and then sometimes because of the position of the camera, they might be staring down or like up. But we found that surprisingly, it still works virtually. Like people feel like even just by looking into each other's eyes without saying a word, that established a presence and a connection already. And to me, I found that allowed them to establish this connection that feels human, and that allows them to, without having to share any details about them or their lives or their profession, immediately they could sense that, oh, I'm actually having a connection with this person, and this person is seeing me and I'm seeing them. So that's a lot of kind of prep before we even start the conversation, but we found that establishing the context and environment is really important, and everything that we guide them through afterward will just fall into places very smoothly because we have set the context and the environment and their state of mind to want to drop into that space. Don't know if you want to add anything at this point, Vlad, of what we've learned here.
No, I mean that plus the little bits I was saying. Yeah, I would say this works probably 80-90% of the time. But sometimes people just aren't in the right state of mind, and all that isn't enough, and the conversations don't work out the way we would like, and that's gonna. I think there's more we can do, and we're gonna be doing more things maybe, but I think we're like, for how relatively simple all of these things sound and really are, it's I'm blown away of how effective and powerful it's been, how quite consistent. 89% I think is a lot. It's really working out for me.
Yeah. And the activities that you see after we establish the context that we prep them, these are just like one variation of what's possible. We get them to pull a card, and honestly, like, it doesn't make a difference if we just assign them a question or get them to pull a card, but it gives them that perception they're choosing something, and that creates more engagement, and they make it a little bit more fun. Like, they're not actually just being assigned what to do. They have kind of like a role in navigating the conversation. And again, these are all just like prompts to allow them to reveal something about themselves that they might not think about, or their partner might not have the idea of to ask about. So this is just to establish initial deeper connection between the two participants. And then the next activity that we got them to do is we showed a list of words of different themes that might kind of remind them of something that might feel is on top of their mind. Because we found that if we just ask someone to, okay, share something about your life that feels really significant right now, like most of the time we get like a really blank face. But when they see these words, it helps to anchor them to something, like it brings out something in them. I think it has happened to me so many times where I've come to a circle where I don't know really what to share. Like, I feel like everything about my life is good right now. And then when I hear someone share something about something else, I was like, oh, actually, yeah, I have a lot to share about that too. So it's just about how can we surface all these things that might not feel so obvious in the beginning to their consciousness. And at the end, we get them to share appreciation. Like, to me, like, that's the most beautiful thing that you can give to someone, with just like a word of compliment or appreciation to someone else. And it's really rare for us to hear compliments or to give compliments in today's world. So we really want to bake that in, because after an hour, even though it's just an hour, by that time you will hear and you'll learn a lot already about someone's life, what their values are, moments where they were really courageous, and we want people to have a final opportunity to acknowledge each other of like all the beautiful qualities and experiences that they've witnessed in this other person. And we found that it's just a really sweet kind of cherry on top to close the experience and kind of wrap up this connection for them. So yeah, so that's kind of like a few things that that went on behind the scene, behind the experience that we have created. But that's just one possibility. And we're starting to work with different facilitators of adding different things into the experience, bringing out different flavors. So I'm very curious to hear from you all at the end of this session of like what ideas do you have in mind that you want to bake into the experience. I don't know if anyone else from my team want to add anything. If not, I think we can go to Q&A from the community. This can be super informal. If you have any questions or thoughts, feel free to kind of share them. Otherwise, I'm just going to read the question in the chat.
Maybe I could just also request that as you have the experience, not only just think about what that subjective experience is for you, because I think everybody here is also kind of a coach or facilitator on their own. But how might this translate into a way that you could maybe scale your interactions or your impacts to the people that you're working with or coaching or facilitating? Because we all have the same amount of time in the day, but if there's ways of sort of still having those impacts and your coaching and your contributions to improving people's lives, is there anything that's inspiring you, and how might our platform be able to provide some of that support for your own journeys? That's all.
Mm-hmm. Thanks, Shane. Yeah, does anyone have any questions or thoughts so far from what we've shared?
I kind of feel like I might have questions after I do it.
Cool. Great. So yeah, if there are no questions at this point, we can go ahead and get you to experience it. I also want to show you one more thing. So we recently built a feature that allows facilitators to do like a broadcast or a webinar style, because this whole thing will be useful for when you want to run an event or a workshop, and you get to do that on Warmspace and then send them to a breakout where it's actually facilitated by Warmspace or an experience that's created by you on the platform. So let me just show you what it looks like. This is fresh, like 2 weeks old. So you get to see an early bird view of what it's like. Cool. Let me share my screen. Okay.
Yeah, well, while Edric is setting up, I just want to address
I think
Pedro's question in the chat.
and you might need to stop the music, sharing the music before you can share the screen.
Ah, okay. Cool.
Yeah, Pedro, you were asking about pricing, and right now we're mostly kind of experimenting. We're trying out different modalities, so we don't have a formal pricing for using it. So right now, if anyone wants to come in and just use Warmspace and have the basic experience that we demoed, that's free for everyone in the world. When we finally have a tool to create these facilitated experiences, I think there'll probably be some way, we'll need to figure that out, but either somewhere between freemium and revenue share, if we're like charging for those experiences. But those are things we'll be figuring out in the next few months.
One second, I'm having some technical issue.
Otherwise, we can see what's coming after experiencing it.
Shall we jump into the experience and then we can do the
There's
other the
something
rest
to
of
look
it later.
forward
Seems to be something wrong that I need to investigate. Just a sec, Vlad.
Okay. Then, yeah, another question was about the language in the chat. I don't know if all of you saw and heard that, but yeah, we've only created English language ones, but technically it can be done for any language. So once we release the tools to make it possible to create your own facilitation experiences like this, you can make them in any language you want, both spoken and written. No, we'll need to double check that there's no bugs around rendering different character sets, but it should work if it's Unicode.
And are you seeing at the moment that it is going to be just like browser based?
Right now it's all browser based, and it works
Yeah.
both on the computer and the phone. It won't work if you have like an old browser or like an old phone that's not updating anymore. Then it might not work. But if you have a phone that's up to date or a browser on your computer that's up to date, then it works just fine.
That's cool, because I know that's often a thing. I mean, I'm just putting my hat on of, you know, using this within organizations and stuff. It's often a, you know, can they download this software, or, oh no, we're on Teams, and that can be a big barrier to getting them to buy in. So obviously the easier the access, the better. So that's really great.
Yeah, I think we've tested it in all browsers. I don't know if we've tested it in Internet Explorer though. Have we?
Who wants to test an Internet Explorer?
Kind of. It seems to work.
There is a certain amount of participants for which the tool is good, or?
So I think right now, just the way that if you're, so there's kind of two ways of using it. You can create an experience and just two people can then go and have it just independently. And then it's just pairs. And the other way that we have it, where we have like a Zoom meeting like this, and then we create breakout rooms where people are paired off. So in that sense, there's no technical limit, but the user interface is such that more than 100 probably would be very difficult to manage. But there's no like technical limit to the way that the product is designed. So I think if people want to use it for very large groups, you could probably update the interface to make it usable for larger groups. And then there's nothing there. We're also going to be adding a way of creating facilitated experiences for groups of more than two. So right now, this you saw a demo where just two people going back and forth, but there's no reason you can't have 3 or 4 or 5, or just going in a circle.
Yeah.
So that certain circle experience that Edric talked about, we could theoretically create something like that too with Warmspace, and we will. We just it's on our roadmap.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, so we have done troubleshooting. So thanks, Vlad, for buying us time. So all of you can troubleshoot it in real time. That's what Tim is for. So I just shared a link in the chat, so everyone can click on that link and join our Warmspace lobby very quickly. So I would love for everyone to come back to Zoom again after the session. So we have to set a time limit. I would say, so I want you to just stay in Zoom while you're doing your Warmspace. Maybe you could turn off your video, and then I can know that you're back when you turn when you turn your video back on. And I'm going to play a jingle. So make sure that you could hear me on Zoom when you're still on your Warmspace, so that you know when to come back to Zoom. So some of you might not end your might be able to end your Warmspace, but at least you get a taste of it. Hang on, let me see if my sound is on. Okay, my sound is on. And then some of you might end earlier, and that's fine. You could just hang out for a while, and then but we'll all come back to do a final Q&A and like brainstorming. So this is what it looks like as a facilitator, pretty similar to Zoom, I guess. This is where you get to play around with who you want to pair with. But by default, you'll be paired randomly. And then if you want to, you could switch it around. And then as a facilitator, you get to do a welcome intro or do your teaching. So let me know on Zoom if you could like see me on Warmspace. Just give me like a thumbs up hand sign. Okay, perfect.
Edric?
So right now yes.
Sorry to interrupt. I just see in the chat that we have one, where's the chat? Samita says that the link is invalid. It worked for me. How about the other? Does someone else have experienced the issue? Is Samita still here?
Yes, I am. I'm trying it again. Because, yeah, so let me check again.
Okay, I see that everyone is already in the lobby. But yeah, no, we see if we can work it out, Sunita. Yeah, we can
maybe
pair
copy
up
paste that link into your browser and see if that might help. Yeah.
And Edric, could you reshuffle the sessions so that we are not spoiled by seeing with whom we'll be? I think there's a beauty about the.
I mean, Edric, maybe just hide your, don't do a screen share right now.
Yeah, hide your screen share and reshuffle, and then we have the beauty.
I'll do a bit of a. Well, that's a good feature to have, which we don't yet, but I'm gonna manually reshuffle everyone. Okay, just give me one.
Don't include me, Edric, because I'm not going to be able to join right now.
Can we also make sure that everybody's that's here is in now? Samita,
I think Samita's not in yet.
No, because it's still saying invalid gathering link. So does it not work on Firefox, or do I have to use something else? I can share my screen.
Oh, yeah. It should work on Firefox. If you could share your screen, that would be super helpful. Yeah.
Okay, I'll do that now. Yeah. So there it is.
That's what happens when you click on that one. Okay. I'm just going to take a quick look. I hope we still have like maybe a couple minutes to check around what's happening.
That looks, is that the correct link? So it looks different.
Is that what happens when you click on the link that was in the chat, Samita?
It's a different link.
Yes.
No, it's a different link, Samita.
But I just clicked the
well,
link.
it will forward you to a link that looks like that. So I believe that she might indeed be in the right place, but
the link in the URL wasn't the same.
I clicked from it.
Yeah, everybody ends up, when you click on the one in the chat, you end up in one that's personal to you. But I'm kind of confused how she ended up there. Huh.
I think I'll just start the session first, so to not keep everyone waiting. And while Samita join, we can start the session separately for you two. Okay, so I'm gonna send everyone off now.
Everyone should mute themselves on Zoom, and we'll keep quiet on Zoom while you
turn off your camera as well, because it might have some trouble with the camera.
Okay.
All right, guys. Enjoy your Warmspace.
Shall I create a sorry to interrupt, to create open rooms on Zoom, so those, if you need to troubleshoot, you can just go into a room, and then you nobody can hear you, right? Then you don't disturb the rest.
Yes.
Awesome.
Perfect. Professional facilitator in the house.
So you can just walk in.
Yeah, amazing. All right. I think most people are already in the session. So enjoy your Warmspace, guys. And I will play a jingle at the end of the about 30-40 minute time to bring you back to Zoom. Enjoy.
artist is called Jaja. How did you met her, and how was the collaboration?
Whoa, what was that? Welcome back, everyone. Do we have everyone here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8,
Grace and Anya are missing. Hello back, everyone. There's Grace.
All right, we got everyone here, I guess.
Did it work out for Samita at the end? Yes.
I had a session with Samita, yeah.
Great.
Yes, it did.
Amazing. Yeah, if you had a good time connecting on Warmspace, maybe you can give me a little, jazz fingers so that I get a sense of everybody's experience. So lovely to see that. Thank you. Yeah, so I just want to take the next 10 minutes to do like a group or like feedback sharing or share how you felt. Maybe real quick, if I'll just if everyone can share like 1 to 2 words to share how they're feeling right now after their Warmspace session, they'll kick us off into a good discussion point. So I'll probably just call out the name based on the order in my Zoom screen, maybe from Miriam.
The Warmspace was just warm. I met with Peggy and we knew each other from the community before. And still we managed to go a bit deeper.
Thank you, Miriam. And Peggy?
Yeah, I was going to say Warmspace is warm, and I love the music. I think it just kind of release yourself from inside. Yeah.
Thank you, Peggy. And Nelly, which I had the honor to connect to on Warmspace.
Yeah, it has followed its name, Warmspace. I felt very warm and very relaxed to open up, same as my partner, Edric. So we're able to help each other. Thank you.
Yeah,
it was wonderful.
Thank you, Nelly. And Samita?
It was a great experience. At first, I had lots of doubts about it, like what is this about? But I think it's my curiosity that helped me to stick through and to find out what I'm going to discover. I never thought I would be comfortable talking to a stranger because my normal self, I would always do a Google check who am I going to talk with. But this situation, I could not do a Google check or a background check. I had to just totally surrender to what's going to come. But that feeling itself, I was very comfortable. So kudos to Warmspace for creating such a comfortable space.
Thank you, Samita. So lovely to hear that. Conrad?
I think I'm probably not the target audience, so it's fine if other people had a great experience. I'm very curious about, or I was very curious to see the mechanics of things, but it's probably just not my cup of tea.
Which is completely fine. Thank you. And Marilee?
Hello. Yes, I also feel a little bit conflicted because Conrad and I had some really good conversations, and I appreciated the time getting to connect with him. But there was a few things, the setup that I was a bit like, oh, I don't know how I feel about this. So I'm still like really interested in the possibilities with it. There's a few things that I'm like, I don't know about that. I didn't love it as much as I was like, I will love this. So yeah, I'm curious to see how it develops.
Yeah, thank you, Marilee. I would love to kind of double click on that and ask for more feedback after we're done with the round of check-in. And Johnny, you're up next.
Yeah, I had the privilege of chatting with Shane, and it was just a really, everyone's used the term warm. It was a really warm space. I just felt appreciated. I felt heard, and I felt like safe and comfortable. It was a good experience.
Thank you, Johnny. That makes me feel warm. And lastly, we got Grace.
Yeah, so I love the experience. I like, the embodiment and the mindfulness side that is integrated into the process. I mean, Enya and I clearly, we were probably the last two that came back. So we were so into the conversation, and it really helps with building deep bonding. And my only slight bit of concern was with some of the questions. I mean, we only saw two, but one question, I feel like sometimes it might open up too deep of some issues. I mean, I'm actually a psychologist, so I'm a little concerned with whether or not some wounds may be opened in such dialogue. So that was it. But overall, I love the concept. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Grace. I saw that Conrad Merrily also kind of +1 on that. So I guess that's your similar sentiment. I guess, yeah, I want to open up the last.
Oh, Anya as well.
Yeah.
Your video's off, by the way. I don't know if you're aware of that.
I'm trying to start that, but it says since the host stopped the video.
Oh, sorry. I just turned it on. How about now?
Yeah. Back again here. So yeah, I share the same feelings as Grace already mentioned. So yeah, I was really happy with the experience and thinks there are loads of possibilities, and and since I lectured storytelling at university, I thought it was really a great tool, maybe also for storytelling, because immediately Grace had triggered some memories from Grace when I mentioned Italy. So I think there are loads of possibilities here. But from the psychological point of view, also having an education in communication psychology, I think that some questions might be a bit far-fetched, and not everybody is going or is expecting a kind of psychotherapy session when he or she enters something like that here.
Yeah, thanks, Anya. Yeah, I think if I could get some of you for the next just 5 minutes to just share free flow, any feedback that you have. I think Marilee would love to hear more about if you have more thoughts to share, any ideas on how we could improve it, or how you would like to use it as a facilitator. That'll be really helpful.
Oh, sure. I mean, I don't know if I could get through much in 3 minutes, but I was just going to send you a chat to say I'm like really happy to connect after this and like share some more thoughts, because in general, like I actually really love the idea. And for me, like I'm already doing kind of this kind of connection stuff on a different level within organizations. And so I could see there's an ability to like put them into a process that you could design. But there's a few things like, yeah, I don't know, for me, like the leap from the grounding into the depth of like the vulnerability leap, I'm okay with that. But there was a point where I was like, well, say if I was with a colleague I didn't know and they were uncomfortable, then how do I ask for help? Like, what if we get stuck? Or yeah, there's sort of this element of like being kind of left, and I worry about people's experience if it gets difficult and they don't have the support to like navigate turning it around. Like it could actually be really uncomfortable. And yeah, and I don't know, there's some stuff too, like with maybe it's just me with narration too. I almost felt like I'd wanted to see the narrator's like face, like actually have a video to feel like there was a third person in the room, or to feel like I don't know, feel invited into it. Sometimes it just felt like, now you're going to do this, and I guess I don't like being told what to do. I like to choose. So yeah, but I love the intention behind it. I think that's really beautiful, and I appreciate what you're putting out in the world.
Yeah, thanks, Marilee, and thanks for the feedback. I think a lot of people can resonate with what you just shared. And by the way, if you guys didn't realize that warm, soft, grounding voice is Vlad's voice. Yeah, it just puts me in a really like calm state every time I hear it in Warmspace. So we're coming at time now. If you have more feedback to share, I would really love to hear that. Since I think we can't get to everyone in the remaining time, I just shared a link. If you don't know this platform, I also encourage you to check it out. It's Video Ask, where you get to record a video and have like a synchronous video conversation with us. So hear me asking for more feedback, and then you get to also send a video or audio back to us, and we get to have this amazing synchronous video conversation with each other. If not, thank you so much everyone for tuning in and trying out Warmspace and all the feedback. It's so lovely to host this for you all and to get you to experience this. And if you have any other thoughts or questions, you could also email me here. And yeah, thank you so much. I don't know if Miriam wanted to, if you have a closing ceremony or routine. Or,
Yeah, maybe just cheering to our guests and hosts. Thank you so much for guiding us through the experience and also for giving us a little bit behind the scenes. I think this was very interesting. So thank you everyone for joining us, and hope to maybe create a warm space at the Never Done Before festival. This would be nice. I think to have maybe a shorter version, or we have these 1 hour breaks in between workshops. I think it would be a wonderful opportunity for the festival guests to to just
we actually did a
enjoy it.
5-minute version for an in-person festival before. That went pretty okay.
So this would be wonderful. So more people can appreciate and join it.
Yeah. Thank you, Miriam.
Thank you, everyone. Happy Thursday.
Happy Thursday.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye-bye. Hope to see you next time.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
It's just us.